The harder you work, the harder it is to surrender. This is Mark Bell from SuperTraining.tv, Super Training Gym, the strongest gym in the West, answering more questions today for the Power Project. And today, giving you special footage brought to you by HowMuchYouBench.net, the Slingshot, and the only strength magazine in the world, thepowermagazine.com. This special footage for today is courtesy of Eric Spoto. Eric Spoto is ripping through some enormous bench presses, some absolutely huge bench presses. In this video, you're going to see him do 705 for 3 off of some boards, and then he does 735 for a double off of some boards. And I also left you with a 705 full range of motion bench press that he did about 2 weeks ago. I just wanted to throw that back in there just so you guys get a little refresher on the type of power that this guy has. He's going to blow it up. He's coming to, he's going to blow it up worse than a Starbucks bathroom. He's coming to Super Training May 19th in the same competition I'll be lifting in, and he is going to go after the all-time bench record of 715 pounds set by Scott Mendelson. I'm expecting him to bench press at least 722 to 733 pounds, somewhere in that range. And his strength is just looking incredible. But I get a lot of questions about the bench press, especially when it comes to the lockout, and I want to talk a little bit about what board pressing does for you. So Eric in this video is using a 3-board. He's trying to work the top portion of his bench press. He's trying to work the last few inches of the bench press where many of us get stuck and where he recently got stuck. So 3-board work can be very effective. One of the reasons why, you got to be careful that you're not bouncing off the boards too much, because if you bounce off the boards too much and your range of motion is already shortened, then you're kind of heaving the weight a few inches off the board and then really only locking out for just even a fraction of the distance that you are even aiming for. So if you're pressing like 6 or 8 inches, if you're heaving the weight off the boards or letting it compress too much into your chest and then throwing the weight up, now you've probably cut that range of motion, which was 6 to 8 inches, probably even in half. So be careful of that. And another thing with this is that when you're doing board presses, one of the great advantages of it is that it allows you to overload. So even if it's not allowing you to handle like a lot more weight, you'll be able to do a similar amount of weight to your max, 90%, 95%, maybe even 100% for multiple repetitions. And now you're building strength because you're getting the volume in that's necessary to crush through some of these plateaus and these sticking points. Think about it this way. If you go through a sticking point over and over and over again in a training session, let's just say you do 5 sets of 3 with a fairly heavy weight, you continue to progress upward, and maybe on the 3rd rep of each set, you kind of struggle just a wee bit towards the top there, and now you got yourself going through that sticking point multiple times in a training session. Whereas if you did singles, it can be very effective for strength too. Do not get me wrong. Singles have always been proven to work really well. But if you're doing singles, you might not be going through that sticking point. It might be you might be kind of pushing through that a little bit too easy. So by doing repetitions, you're really working on building the strength. You're also teaching your body how to have better form as your body's getting fatigued, as your body is getting tired. Not to mention the increased muscle mass that you'll probably get from the extra volume that you're doing. So board pressing can be very effective. Let's talk about a couple other things that can be effective for lockout before we get to this awesome footage. You got pin presses. So a pin press is similar to a board press. You can also use like a telephone book or Kelly Starrett's new book. You can use whatever you want, a couple power magazines stacked together. You can use whatever you want to press off of. Sometimes people press off of foam. Sometimes people press off of wood. It will have a different training effect, so use your noggin on that and try to utilize some different things. When pressing off the pins, it's a totally dead stop press that you have to try to do. You set the barbell up inside of a power cage, inside of a power rack, and press from various heights. What you're trying to do again is you're trying to improve some weak points in your bench press, some plateaus and some sticking points, some spots where you're getting stuck. If you have trouble coming off your chest with any sort of speed or any sort of power, then doing dead stop presses may be an effective way for you to work on that. Make sure that you're stopping on the pin each time and then pressing back up. One thing that people don't think about when they think about increased range of motion, when they're thinking about decreasing the range of motion and working on something like a lockout, let's say an example of a deadlift or in a bench press, is that it all starts from the beginning. How you start is how you finish, and yada, yada, yada. I say it a million times, right? So paused bench presses can be very effective to get you to lock the weights out better. Why? Because you're underneath that barbell for longer, and now you decelerated the bar, you stopped on your chest. Try stopping on your chest for up to 4 seconds and get rid of some of that stretch reflex, and then press the weights back up and see how difficult it is to lock out then. You'll get more tricep work that way as well. Another way of doing it is to do speed work. If you're faster, you'll get more momentum off your chest, and you will plow through that sticking point easier. Now that's why some of the great benchers, you don't really hear them talking a lot about tricep work. I mean, the great benchers of today, they have to do tricep work because they're in bench shirts. But some of the raw guys, you don't always hear them talking about ton about tricep work. A lot of them have built up their strength simply off of bench pressing, and the speed and acceleration and the force development that they produce off of their chest is the reason why. So if you're trying to hammer your triceps all day long and it's not helping your lockout, you need to look at your chesticles. Look no further than your chesticles, my friends. Get those suckers up to speed. Do some incline dumbbell presses, some flat dumbbell presses, some push-ups. Yes, push-ups. Utilizing something like the slingshot can be very effective because now you're doing full range of motion with an overload. The only product out there that's really going to allow you to do that, even a bench shirt doesn't allow you to do that because it's very difficult to get full range of motion in a bench shirt unless you're wearing a bench shirt that is too loose for competition, basically. So those are some of your options to increase the strength of your lockout. Also, don't forget just tricep extensions, dumbbell tricep extensions, band push downs, tricep push downs, all the old school kind of normal tricep work is always going to be effective. Also, don't forget to train your biceps, because your biceps are nice brake pads for your bench press. And then on top of that, last but not least, don't forget to train those lats. The lats are going to help you explode out of the bottom, which is going to carry over in through your lockout. Enjoy this footage of the monster we call the Vanilla Gorilla.
Yep. Come on. Up. Come on. Up. All right, let's go. Come on. Wow.